Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, no. Here comes the, oh. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, no. Here comes the, oh. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that.
Hello, and welcome to your favorite news channel, The Boom. Today's topic is, should the words "under God" be in the U.S. Pledge of Allegiance? The reason we are talking about this topic today is because I know that when I was young and in high school or school in general, we would always have to recite this pledge every morning when the announcements were on. And so I would think, what am I saying? What even is this pledge about? Well, here's a little background knowledge. Daniel Sharp Ford, the owner of a magazine called Youth's Companion, wanted to increase patriotism by putting American flags in every school in the country. And so he decided to hire a man named Francis J. Bellamy, who was an author, a minister, and an advocate of the tenets of Christian socialism, to compose a Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. He wrote it, and it was published in a magazine. However, it did not begin the way that we say it today. Its original form read, "I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." And then, after events and time, it was changed, and now it's what we hear today. Joined with me today, via conference call, is Connie and Polly to talk about this issue.
Yes, thank you. Happy to be on.
Sheryl, happy to be here.
Now enough from me. The main purpose today is that many people are angry about the words "under God" in the pledge. Let's hear from Connie first because she's against it. Connie, you have the floor.
As Sheryl had said, the original Pledge of Allegiance was written back in 1892 by a minister who didn't feel it was necessary to use the word God because he was writing a patriotic statement for the country. Back in 1954, we got a little politically correct during the McCarthy era. Everybody had to prove not just that they loved America, but that they also loved God. We got patriotism and religion confused.
Whoa. Neither the pledge nor its recitation constitutes a forbidden religious exercise. When someone is pledging allegiance, they are stating their patriotism and respect for this country.
Why don't we talk about the separation of church and state?
We're dealing with school children, and with role models in schools who are required to lead it, people think that saying "under God" is thought to be a violation of the separation of church and state.
Connie.
Polly.
Connie, it is doubtful that children reciting the Pledge of Allegiance feel oppressed or brainwashed as a consequence of muttering the phrase "under God."
Okay, but
let's move on to a different point. How about religious heritage versus religious constraint? Polly?
Yes. For more than 200 years, many of our expressions of national identity and patriotism have referenced God, so I don't see a real problem here.
okay, I heard you, but people don't get angry at a recital of historical or demographic facts. People get angry because they know what it means and the fact that it is referring to a single religion. They want to persuade other kids to say what it means and what they believe to be true.
Yeah, I guess, but wait.
Well then, what about the national interest?
Polly, saying under God is said to violate the First Amendment's Free Exercise Clause and Establishment Clause, which prohibit the creation of a national religion.
But...
Okay, how about the legal perspectives of the pledge, Polly?
The words of the pledge echo the conviction held by the founders of this nation that our freedoms come from God. Congress inserted the phrase, "One nation under God," in the Pledge of Allegiance for the express purpose of reaffirming America's unique understanding of this truth.
The government should not be asking impressionable school children to affirm their allegiance to God at the same time that they are affirming their allegiance to the country. If the phrase "under God" is removed, it is not anti-religious.
how about we end this little debate on majority rule versus minority rights? Connie?
To have kids expressing a theological principle in school over the loudspeaker is not a serious way to do it. It is not that we don't want God in our lives, we just don't want him trivialized. We have a democratic process and the majority should do whatever it wants, but when we're talking about fundamental constitutional rights, we're in a different ballgame. If the majority wants to have the government implicating a religious belief, too bad. You can't do it. Our Constitution doesn't allow you to.
Well, the phrase under God struck me as a comforting expression of unity.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me today.
Thank you.
And I'd like you, America, to decide. Should those words be in the pledge? Well, that's all for tonight, folks. Thank you, and have an amazing night, America.